Hey guys, as you can see here, we've got a broken piece of the top of the QuickSet form that was caused by the block layer laid these blocks, was cleaning up the slab, sweeping out the debris from inside the slab once the blocks are done, and must have caught the top edge of the product with a spade and it broke. So it's a perfect chance to show you how to fix QuickSet. Now, you might have knocked this with a digger, knocked it with a spade. We're talking sort of any sort of fix that you may need to do that you can't just build as bog it, prime it, paint it, anything other than that. So it's sort of a big decent chip or a hole, that's kind of what we're talking about now. So this whole top of the QuickSet snapped off. So what I want to do is essentially replace the PVC foam board only. So the soft insulation behind this is going to stay in place, but we're only going to replace the PVC. So first of all, I'm going to look to where the joiners are. We're lucky that there's a joiner here, an H-section joiner, which is good. So that means my fix is going to start from this point. And I'm going to mimic it and take the same measurement off this side of the blocks here, and I'm going to put an H-section joiner here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep this up, mark it out, and then show you what that next stage is, and then stage by stage I'll take you through the fix. Okay, so what I've done here is I've put a level line in. What that line represents is basically where I'm going to cut. I've cleared the debris at the bottom. I've found where our base is. We have a joiner here. We have a line here which indicates a cut line. We have broken QuickSet. So the QuickSet's broken at the top. What we sell as part of a QuickSet repair kit, you'll have to contact us directly for this or through your merchant. We basically sell, what you've got here is the PVC foam board face, is what you see, and the back. So it's what we call a QuickSet blank, as in it's had the rail, where the rail sits, has been pre-routed out. It doesn't have any insulation on the back, so it's what we call a QuickSet blank. So what the objective here is, this particular one is a 385mm blank, and it's actually a 400mm high foundation, so it's got a 15mm packer on the top, which is, it's very hard to see. This foundation was a 385 with a 15mm packer that gave it a 100mm slab topping on a 300 pod system. So what I'm doing is I'm going to basically pry the front of this off and put this new blank in place. So what that means is, because there's no aluminium rail in here, that means the aluminium rail is going to stay intact in place. It's the structural integrity of the system. So that's going to be inside the slab, that's joined back into the slab. I'm going to cut the face of QuickSet off. I'm going to very carefully peel it off, leaving the insulation, the back soft XPS insulation stuck into the concrete, as well as that back rail. I want to make it nice and clean, and essentially I'm going to take this product, get it into the H-section joiner, clip it down, and then put a new H-section joiner down through the top. So what I want to do is I'm going to cut this up, and then I'm going to start exposing it to show you what it looks like underneath and exactly what I mean. And then the next step after that will be cleaning it up and showing you how to fit this. So I've started removing the face of QuickSet. So what I've done is I've gone to the joiner as well. I've just come over 100mm, made a cut to make it easy. So I've got the actual product to pry the foam board out, and then with a screwdriver I've pulled the piece out of the H-section joiner. As you can see, that's the aluminium back rail that's stuck into the concrete. That's good. And as you can see, the soft insulation that's stuck into the foundation as well. Now the way that we've designed QuickSet, we've designed it, if something does happen like this, the way it works is the insulation actually sticks with the concrete behind it, and the beads of glue are designed to that it's just got straight beads of glue, so you can actually pry the product off the insulation quite easy. So the way you do it is come over, you do it in segments, and then you use the product to pop the bits off, cleaning with a chisel, cleaning the product off the aluminium rail. And then obviously what you want at the end of this is the green insulation all the way, the rail all the way, nice and clean, And then what we're going to do, as you can imagine, is put that new face back on with new glue and the odd fixing where we can place them. As you can see, I've finished taking off the QuickSet form. Probably took about 25 minutes to get to this stage. As you can see, my main objective here is to clean that rail from all existing product. As you can see, the soft insulation is, I'd say, 98% intact. I did get a couple of marks in here. They're only pressure marks, so the insulation's been pushed in, but the goal is to try and be as soft and as gentle as you can so you don't interrupt that insulation. But generally, I think that's quite a good fix. I have lost the upstand of my base, which you'll see that is actually a good thing, because if I take my blank, all right, so I can basically slide that blank okay, and as you can see there, as you can imagine, it's pretty much fixed at this point. Obviously it needs to be fixed back, it needs to be glued, it needs some concrete fixings along the bottom edge, and it needs the H-section joiner here. So, but as you can see, it goes back into place perfectly. Probably the next big thing I'm going to show you is, yes, that's one thing, concrete fixings at the bottom, new glue at the back, a peg in the ground, some braces back to it, leave it for 24 hours. I'd say 48 hours would be your best thing before you remove the braces. Really allow time for that glue to go off. Obviously this is underneath a door, then you've got a sill flashing to go over that, then the door to go on it, and then you'll be left with a nice perfect fix. The only one thing that I'm going to really have to show you guys is how to fit an H-section joiner into here. So obviously I'm going to take a stock sanded H-section joiner. I'm going to have to manipulate the back of it by cutting it with a grinder so that I can get it slid down and around this top piece. Essentially the top part, which I'll show you shortly, will look like a T-section joiner where it'll be H-section at the bottom. Okay, so I've got this second H-section joiner in place. So essentially H-section joiner, what I've done is I've cut out the back part of the joiner. So if you can look carefully in here, where the aluminium is, it's essentially a T-section minus the back of the H-section. Then I've used a craft knife, just cut in behind the product and the existing XPS at the back here, and then I'm able to put a little bit of off-cutter foam board in the joiner, and then I'm able just to, with a hammer, just carefully whack it on, right? So now, obviously I've got two H-section joiners. You may think, how am I going to get the board in? Now, this will work, if you have a fix like this, have a minimum of 1200 millimeters, right? So even if it's a fix of 100 or 200 mils, replace at least a 1200 mil stretch. The reason being, once you get the product, obviously it hasn't got the glue yet, but what you've got to do is carefully, you can bow out the product in the middle. Okay, as you can see, you can bow the middle of the board and you can just get it in the H-section joiner. So you have to be careful. If you have to trim a few mils off the end of the board, then you have to trim a few mils off the end of the board. But essentially, if I go into that joiner, it will spring back in. But before I do that, I do the glue. So as you can see, this is how you can get it in. You just have to take your time, have to be careful. As you can see, we've finished the fix. I've got some braces. I've got a strong back at the top, a strong back at the bottom. Obviously, I've got the luxury of a block wall here. I mean, you guys will probably have a frame above it that you can do something like I've done. Just use some strops, strop the waratahs back to the back waratah. Obviously, put pressures on the strong back. Obviously, you can do that with traditional bracing. It all depends on what stage the build's at and how you're feeling. Now, if I was going to do concrete fixings, which are basically just a hammer drill and then a screw at the bottom, I've actually opted against that on this. Once that glue goes off, that will be stuck on there. Why I've opted against it is this is the front door, so obviously the ground level has been built up here. You're not going to walk out of your front door down onto dirt, so we know the ground level is going to be built up here. If I look over to my side, I've got a garage door here that tells me that. So in this respect, I'm just going to leave it as is. Once the pressure of the ground pushes against it, that will lock it in place for the next 50 years. Putting an extra fixing through it will only give it another hole potentially for moisture to travel down. So really use it at your discretion. Just remember it's a builder's product. Be a builder. do the fix like you'd fix anything else. It's just the cladding system. If you damaged a weatherboard, you wouldn't necessarily ring around and ask how to fix it. You would know. Similar to QuickSet, you just got to use your head, use the tools that we provide as a fix kit, and then it's a little bit of common sense, and you can achieve a fix just like this in, I'd say, no more than an hour and a half.